KFUG Community Radio, that is indeed us. It is, 1 minute past noon. I'm joined live in the studio, Mr. Mike Thornton. How you doing, Mike?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing all right. It's good to see you again.
You too.
So I just assume that you were here at 6 this morning?
I was, actually. Yeah, I was here, yeah. I was here from like 6 to 9 and played some music and... different, I think, probably than what else is on the air around here, but that's what we do.
And what else is on the air on KFUG too, which is that's nice. We'd done this. We recorded today's show because we rebroadcast them on Tuesdays then at 5:00. And I think before you went on your big trip, we'd managed to record like 2 shows.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So I played those 2 shows until I got tired of them. This week we didn't have one. So next week we will have a brand new full Logic Reverse. How was your show today? Was good getting back into it?
Yeah, it's I was kind of like on a very different sort of trip, as we're going to talk about.
Exactly.
And so getting back into the swing of things has been interesting. But yeah, we did a lot of stuff. We played a whole lot of Peter Gabriel from The Last Temptation of Christ. And then, have you heard this band, the 1975?
I've seen the name. I've yet to hear them.
Oh my gosh, they're really good. We did that, did a big set of Jefferson Airplane and a lot of other stuff in between. A little bit of Ice-T. Not that kind of Ice-T, but Ice-T with Blackwood.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to put the station's license in jeopardy.
If you want to play Ice-T like that, come in before 6.
Right. Well, it's interesting because, as you know, and maybe some other people know, I used to work at another radio station. Mm-hmm. And when I first applied to get a show as a volunteer music DJ, I auditioned for the show. And so the show was midnight to 4. Mm-hmm. And I did the show. And I went up before the program committee and they go, "It was a great show, Mike. You did a fantastic show. We're not giving you the time slot." I'm going, "Well, why not?" This is because you can't start off a show with 4 F songs in a row. I said, "Well, hey, it was midnight,
it's
right?"
Midnight. What's his name? He loosened all that. Didn't Stern loosen all that stuff up? You can get away with that,
right? That's yeah.
See, and I know for being like kind of in the program director role, I've got like a Kid Walker. He's on Saturday nights 10 to midnight, and he chose that shift because his first question was, when can I get by playing songs with the F word in them?
Right.
I'm like, "Oh, dude, don't come at me with that. Don't lead with that."
Right. You got to work up to that,
I said, "Well, 10 you can get away with it, and more so at midnight. But I don't want to know any more about it. And I don't think deniability or like that or ignorance is going to be the FCC is not going to take that from me. So I'll have to familiarize myself with them.
So I try to avoid those. I don't try to avoid them. I am avoiding them.
Yes, I am. Last night though, I was all like politicaled up, right? And I was irate, and I'm on doing Night Soil, and I had to play Working Class Hero.
Okay,
and that's got like 3 F-bombs in it for John Lennon in 1970, but I figured, I'm in the mood.
Well, maybe we'll kick off the next show with the MC5.
There you go. Yeah. I've done that on accident. Okay, MC5, kick out the jams. Whoa. All right, so we're glad you're back and doing the show.
Great. I'm happy to be here doing it.
And if listeners like me, you did not catch it live today, you can hear Full Logic Reverse again Tuesday night at 5, right before Night Soil, those 3 hours before. So you're saying are you coming back? Are you getting, are you able to give yourself enough time to ease back into the routine here after being on the road?
No. No. Actually, I got back late Monday night. Mm-hmm. Got the newspaper Tuesday morning, and the first thing I read was one of our county supervisors again.
We're doing it again.
Trying to, create fear and division over immigration. And, so I was compelled to go to the board and try to explain why that type of thing is bad for our community. And as I was saying, I'm not here to ask you to be nice to Latinos or to be kind to immigrants. I'm just saying that fanning the flames of fear and division and anger and grievance, is bad for our community in the long run. And so I'm hopeful that the requisite number of supervisors will finally vote this proposed letter down once and for all and be done with it.
I can't, and what gets me, did you read, there was what's today? Yesterday's Coastal Voices written by a fellow up in Brookings.
I did read that. Yes.
I have not read it yet. Elisa said, read it. It's great. But somebody coming out and getting in Gitlin's face about the SB 54 stuff.
Yeah. It was a really good counter editorial, and I think it hit a lot of points, certainly that I agree with, and I think a lot of other people agree with. And I mean, for me, I just think it's bigger than that. I mean, this whole thing of the politics of fear and grievance, that is spreading poison that is not just related to the issue of immigration. It's pitting neighbor against neighbor, and that's not going to go away soon. That's
true.
Something that's going to permeate our community and the country for a long time.
And even if SB 54 is just kind of its coalescence, this sort of emotion. What gets me about, and we get back into the trip and stuff. We started talking like, oh man. What gets me is that, what if you're Roger Gitlin, what are you hoping to accomplish? Because you're not really going to make a stand philosophically about SB 54 that is going to matter outside of Delnor County, and it doesn't really matter that much in Delnor. It really is. What's the point here? It's show.
Well,
right?
It certainly seems that way. I can't read Mr. Gitlin's mind. I don't know what's in his mind. I don't know what's in his heart. I just know, and I believe that type of politics is poison, and we have too much poison in our society as it is, and we just don't need to keep poisoning ourselves with that kind of thing. Yeah,
exactly. Okay, well, so you come back in, you're back for all of what, 12 hours?
Something like that.
And then you're back up there with in front of it. I think I saw you're in somebody posted, Denise posted the video, and I think you're up there.
And I wasn't the only one that was there. Other people were there as well.
Oh man. So probably not a lot of sort of just sitting and reflecting on your trip.
No.
All right. Well, let's begin. Okay. Let's start with, before you hit the road, let's talk about what you hit the road in.
Okay.
So how long have you had this van and have been working on it?
I've had the van since, I guess, April of last year.
Okay.
Is when I first got it. It's a 2017 Ram ProMaster high roof.
The high roof, one of those tall boys.
Yeah, I can actually stand up.
That's
wow. And so that was really important to me. And so over this time, we've been putting in, all of the equipment, refrigerator, sink. I have a cool little marine wood stove for heat, and then another marine 2-burner alcohol stove for cooking. Bed platform, all of that kind of stuff, paneling and all of that. It's pretty much all done. There's some detail work that needs to be done. And, a lot of this was to kind of take it out on a trip and then sort of evaluate things. And
now you've got solar panels too.
Panels, and
so how does that work? You've got like DC circuitry then in the back of the van.
It's actually got an inverter, and so I'm running everything AC.
Okay,
but I've got a couple of solar panels on the roof and a couple of batteries, house batteries, and so I'm charging via solar, and then I'm also charging when I drive.
Oh, cool. Good. Okay.
And then it's got a thing set up so that way it doesn't bleed back and drain the batteries. So it charges, but it doesn't drain when I shut it off. So I got a lot of power and was actually able to run everything and keep food and drinks cold. That's and awesome. All of that cool stuff.
Okay, so chemical toilet?
Yes.
Okay, how does that work? I know how a toilet works. You don't have to give me that, but I mean the chemical bar. So is it a nuisance? Does it smell? What?
No. It actually doesn't. And it's one of those things. If you plan your trip well and you do stealth camping, which is some of what I was doing, you actually wind up don't use it that much.
That's just,
But yeah, it's really cool though the way my friend Mike set it up, because it's sort of like slides up under the bed platform, so you have no idea it's there.
Wow.
And then, open it up, slide it out, use it, and then, of course, you have to take care of it. But you don't wind up using it that much if you plan your trip well, because you're using other facilities.
Okay, so you've got this amazing van you can stand up in, you can cook food in, you can you can sleep in, you can go to the bathroom in if you need to. You've got all of this stuff happening. You hit the road, you head south.
I did.
Where'd you go first?
Well, I first went to visit my ex, Lisa, in Sacramento, which was really nice. We were together for many years and still are really good friends.
That's good.
And all
That's
of
nice.
that. And so I took our dogs, with me, and then I was able to leave them at her house because since this was the first big trip, I didn't want to have to worry about 2 dogs as well.
Yeah.
So hung out there for a while, got to see Green Book while I was in Sacramento.
I saw your post. I don't even know what the movie is. I don't even know what that is.
It's this really super cool movie. It's got Viggo Mortensen and then also Mahershala Ali. It's based on a true story about this African-American pianist named Don Shirley, I believe. And so this is like early 60s, I guess. And he's a classical pianist who winds up taking a tour of the South and winds up hiring the Viggo Mortensen character, who is this kind of like street Italian guy, to be his sort of chauffeur.
Oh, wow.
To take him. And so the title Green Book is because when you were black during that time, you had to have this guide called the Green Book, because the Green Book would say if you were African American where you could sleep and where you could eat and all of that. And so this is based on a true story, and these 2 men wind up becoming long-term friends. But I know this is going to be maybe a little unfair to say, but there seems to be a tendency in rural communities where if like the major protagonist is black, somehow or another those movies don't seem to air.
We don't,
and so I was really glad that I was able to see it. It's a good film. And then took off from there and headed east.
Oh wow, headed east. So you're in Sacramento, and I it's very much a Del Norte thing that like to go on a vacation and to go to a real movie. That's
I like the movie house here. They're good people.
They're good people. It's a lousy movie house. They're good people though. But when I'm sitting there, I'm watching a film, and I can hear the Transformers going through whatever they're going through in the next theater. It's just and you're right about anyway. Yeah. So you're down in civilization, and then you make a a left turn, and you're heading up over the Sierras.
I did, yes, and went to Reno, where I used to work as well. Didn't get a chance to run into anybody there, but the whole idea was to be able to go east so I could then travel down 395, because I really, it's a beautiful drive, and the east side of the Sierras is really dramatic, and there was enough snow to make it beautiful, not enough snow to make it hard to drive.
Yeah, exactly.
And so then I was.
So Donner Pass was okay coming over, all of that.
Yeah,
That's good.
It was fine, and was able then to travel down 395 and make my way to my first stop on the east side of the Sierras in Bishop, where I did some stealth camping at the Paiute Palace.
The Paiute Palace.
The Paiute Palace. So I was able to camp in the parking lot of the Paiute Palace, and didn't have to pay for camping or a hotel room or any of that.
So talk about, what are your concerns when it comes to stealth parking? What are you looking for? What are you looking to avoid?
Well, I think the main thing is you want to be able to be in a place where you are kind of far enough out of the way, but not too far out of the way to where, like, wait a minute, why is this like big weird van just parked here?
Yeah,
so you want to blend in, and then but not like just be right in front of everything and everybody, So I think it's not an exact science.
You got every place you have to adapt, I imagine.
Right.
Sure.
But it was great, and I was able to, to stay there, and I had to give the Paiute Palace some props because it's like 7:00 in the morning, something like that, 7:30 in the morning. And I'm in there getting a cup of coffee, and they're playing Catholic Girls by Frank Zappa from the Joe's Garage album. And I'm going, so here I am in this casino in Bishop, and they're literally playing Catholic Girls from Joe's Garage at 7:30 in the morning.
Oh my God.
And I'm going, you know what? That is just the coolest thing.
That's pretty cool.
I have never been in any commercial business that was playing Joe's Garage by Frank Zappa.
See, and that's the kind of thing, if I walked in the studio at 7:30 in the morning or heard it and it's playing like Frank Zappa, I'm going, right on K-Fug. And you wouldn't hear that.
No, that's I'm going, hey, props to the Paiute Palace.
Yeah. Wow. Oh man. So I remember as a kid one time on television seeing some movie, and it was, outside of Bishop in the Owens Valley. And I remember it being black and white, and here's desert sort of in the foreground, and then the snowbound Sierras right there. And just as a kid, I went, where's that? I want to know where that is. And I have found it, and I've subsequently done 395 and been to Bishop, and it's stunning over there. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really quite beautiful. And, just having the opportunity to be out and not be in a hurry, and really being able and to enjoy the natural beauty of our country, because there's so many places like that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, having a vehicle like I've got where, you know what, I'm just going to pull over here and hang out for a while, and I can flip my seat around because I, have a passenger seat that will turn around, and I can just hang out there and make a hot chocolate or a coffee or whatever, and look out at the beautiful nature and enjoy it.
So, did you find it difficult to find places to stay at night?
It wasn't difficult. This was the first time I had done it, and I had done a fair amount of research about how to do this. So it wasn't difficult. At the same time, I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time doing it. So I took advantage of things that I found, and then one night I just went ahead and bit the bullet and paid $6 for overnight parking in another casino parking lot, because I didn't want to have to worry about people seeing the smoke coming out of my smokestack and things like that. So, but no, it's not that difficult, and there are a lot of people who are out on the road. Yeah. Doing this kind of thing, most of them out of necessity.
Really?
Oh yeah. No, there's actually tens of thousands of people who are in essence kind of like internal migrants, living in a whole array of cars and vans and trailers, and I'm not talking high-end RVs here, so there's a lot of folks, and you begin to be able to recognize who's doing what.
I did see a post. I think you'd taken it in a parking lot someplace.
Yes.
And there was some other big tall van parked out across the parking lot. You're going, hey.
There are actually 3 of them.
Were they? Okay.
And none of them were mine.
Yeah, exactly.
Mine was tucked away.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, so heading south then. I know you did Vegas and Death Valley.
I did, but before I did that, I actually went to Manzanar.
Oh, Manzanar. That's right.
I went to Manzanar.
And I left that out because I keep forgetting. For some reason, I put Manzanar up toward Klamath. like Klamath Lake.
Yeah, and
Falls,
there are there were a number of those different camps. Manzanar is kind of around Lone Pine.
Okay.
Independence, I guess, somewhere around there. But I really wanted to make sure that I went to see that.
Yeah, what was that like?
Well, it's a reminder of how, and I think it kind of goes back maybe to a little bit about what we were talking about when we first started, what happens when you start ramping up this fear. Mm-hmm. Because, at least as I understand it, all told, there were some 11,000 men, women, and children who were interned at Manzanar. And there were many other camps such as that. They had committed no crime.
Yeah,
just simply had Japanese ancestry.
Yeah.
And many, if not most of them, were torn out of their homes and their businesses and lost everything. Mm-hmm. And then were interned in this kind in a concentration camp.
The definition of what a concentration camp is.
It's exactly the definition of it. And I just think it's one of those things that it's really important for us not to forget, because that kind of thing can happen more easily, I think, than most of us tend to think about. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so, and there's another interesting story. I didn't know this. So there used to be this fella, and if I get this wrong, and if anybody is listening knows I've got it wrong, I apologize. I'm working off memory. But there was a fella who, older gentleman, older than I am, who used to do a volunteer program at KVMR, mm-hmm. Bill Tuttle. And my understanding is that during World War II, Bill Tuttle was a tenured professor at UC Berkeley. Mm-hmm. And when they interned the Japanese, he told the university that they could have their tenured professorship. And he left and he went, I think, to Manzanar to teach the Japanese kids.
Oh, my gosh.
So there was actually, there were actually people who were saying at that time, this is not cool. And there were people who were making real sacrifices in their own life mm-hmm. to try to do something to, in whatever way they could, improve the situation.
I just read about a gentleman who went out of his way. He was a young man at the time, but he kept like a number of internees, like farms and homes kind of intact for them until they came back.
Yeah, because so many of those folks lost everything. Mm-hmm. It was just stolen.
Just taken. Yeah.
It was stolen from them.
Yeah.
And so when you get to a site like Manzanar, and much of it, of course, is the actual buildings aren't there. There's a few. The visitor center was closed because of the government shutdown. Okay. But you could still, of course, go, and walk and drive through the remains of the camp mm-hmm. itself. Mm-hmm. And then also how, people tried very hard to make lives there for themselves and their kids and all of that. And there's still the cemetery because people came there and people died, mm-hmm. From whatever the causes were. But it was just really important for me to go and see that, because there are so many things that have happened in our history as a nation. And I think most of America is not really good at remembering stuff like that. And that's the kind of stuff we have to remember, because it could happen so quickly again. Mm-hmm. And I just think that we need that historical grounding to make sure that it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. You need to keep that knowledge conscious. Yeah. And kind of ever living, or else, it will happen again. And the scary part is just you can find that. Like by the time you realize that, we're shipping people off to camps. Right. You've turned around, you can look back and go, oh, well, we've been moving in this direction for quite some time and nobody noticed.
That's right.
And that's a real danger.
Well, and it's a bit of an aside, but, so I used to do, these radio shows, and it was the anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz, and I had 2 survivors from the camp. And one of them, it was they had 2 very different stories about how they survived. But one of the women, I think she was from Hungary, the other one was from Poland. But she said, they were Jews, and they were saying, we heard stories about this stuff, but nobody could believe it. Wow. Because nobody could believe that somebody would actually do that until they were loading us on the trains to take us to the camps.
Oh my God.
And yeah, because it's just the whole thing of whether it's willful or blindness, or you just can't believe it, and we have a period in our history. We have many periods in our history where we've done pretty heinous stuff to people, and Manzanar is one representation of that.
Exactly. I think it's an interesting sort of bookend for the trip too, that one of your first stops is Manzanar, and then you come back and you have to go to the county supervisors meeting and argue about SB 54.
There is a certain amount of symmetry in that, I guess.
Exactly. Poetry, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Manzanar, Buzzkill, you need something to get you out of that.
Yes. Death Valley.
Now, Death Valley, and Lisa wants to take me. She loves it. She says it's beautiful. You posted that it lived up to the hype.
It does. There are so few things that live up to the hype, right? And Death Valley is one of them.
Wow.
Death Valley lives up to the hype. Yosemite lives up to the hype.
Even at the beginning of the winter, it's still impressive. You're like, wow.
Yeah, it really is. But you can certainly understand why it was called Death Valley. If you can imagine trying to cross that on horse or on foot or something like that, or in the summer. Yeah. It's you could see where it would be Death Valley.
Wow.
But it's incredibly beautiful. And, in that sort of stark desert way. And once again, this is taking place during this government shutdown. And so you can also see the unfortunate aspects of that.
Did you see some of that?
Yeah. Things not being cleaned up and those kinds of things. And the accumulation of trash and that kind of stuff, because there isn't anybody to deal with that. But it was just... Lisa had said, you should try to go through Death Valley. I had never been through Death Valley. So what the heck? I'm here. Might as well go through Death Valley. And really, really well worth it. I would encourage anyone, if they have an opportunity to do it, to do it, because it's quite stunning.
Wow. Yeah. My father and his wife spend much of every winter down around Death Valley, and he knows it in and out. He can talk about this place, that place, where they go, because they spend so much time there. And I really would like to see it. I'm holding out for a super rainy winter because I want to go during a super bloom.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, well, that's my understanding is the best time to go. Obviously I went kind of like December, January.
Yeah, but still,
it was. I'm really glad that I did.
Wow. Yeah. Where did you sleep in Vegas?
I saw another casino parking lot. You know what I mean? Hey, why not, right? You have access to facilities, and I stealth parked in Stations Casino.
Stations Casino.
Yeah,
I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's another one, kind of North Vegas, and this was New Year's Eve.
Oh my God! Oh wow!
Yeah, so.
Did you do anything for New Year's Eve, or you just in the van?
I was just mostly
chill?
In the van. Right. I had no interest in trying to go and be on the strip or any of that. But I went in and checked out the sports book because I'm a football fan. And, I do a little bit of lightweight sports betting as a hobby. So went in and did that and checked it out and stealth camped and it was fine. And,
oh man!
And got tired of being in Las Vegas and decided it was time to move on.
It's like that for me too. It's usually a matter of hours, and then I'm ready
I
think
I was there for like a day, day and a half.
Yeah. Okay, so then you get in, and really just interesting part. So you go from Vegas, and then you're down to where did you go? Did you veer east there? Did you go to Quartzsite from there?
I did. Yes, okay. Quartzsite was the next stop.
Now tell people about Quartzsite, because Quartzite is an amazing, interesting society.
It is. So basically, the kind of the short version is that Quartzite is this town in the Arizona desert.
And it's what, maybe 20 miles from the California line, or is it farther into Arizona? I remember it being like the first place you come to.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Well, but that's actually, that's one of the things that I wanted to step back.
Okay.
So I'm heading down Highway 95 in Nevada, right?
Mm-hmm,
okay. Beautiful road.
Is that the one goes through Tonopah and all that stuff?
Yes,
yeah, I know that one.
Beautiful, smooth road.
Yeah, you see
really
forever.
Nice rest stop.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And then you hit California. And it goes from being this like 4-lane beautiful highway to this like 2-lane crap.
Well,
I mean, it's just. It's so stark. The difference.
But Nevada's prime time highway wise, that's like California's that's our afterthought.
Yeah, no.
So live it up with your Highway 95. We got I-5 and 101 and the 405 and the 40 and the 10 and
I think just for me the thing was so stark. The way it went from this to that. Just with no sort of graduation.
And the rest of this nation, by and large, does rest areas much differently and much better than California does.
Yes,
that's true.
Yeah, and that's true. So anyway, so I get to Quartzite, and so Quartzite is generally a community of about 2,000 people.
Like full time?
Yeah, like full time. But
is there a town there?
There is a town.
Okay.
There actually is a town with actual buildings.
Okay.
And then there is this like sort of big flea market thing, where they actually had one of the flea markets was the Trump store.
I saw that picture.
Yeah, I mean literally the Trump store, and a lot of stones, a lot of gem stuff, and actually a friend of mine. They're into high-end jewelry, making and selling high-end jewelry, and they used to go to Quartzite and hawk their wares there as well, and she said we didn't fit in either. It's a really interesting place. And at the same time, a lot of the people were kind of older. I heard a lot of really, disturbing sort of racist rhetoric.
Really?
Yeah, and that doesn't. I want to be really clear. That's not necessarily indicative of, everyone that goes to Quartzite, because obviously I didn't meet everyone.
Now, how big is Quartzite in the middle of the winter or in the beginning?
Well, my understanding is it gets up to 30,000 or so
in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because I got there a little early.
Oh, that makes sense. It wouldn't be summertime. It would be winter. Would be the
right. Yeah.
Time. Right.
Yeah, because that's what happens is you have a number of BLM lands there, and some of them are like, and this is like 14 days free, and then you have to like move and go to another one X number of miles away. And they have like, I want to say La Posa, which is a long-term visitors area. And so you can get a permit and then you can just stay there for like months.
Wow, okay.
Really very cheaply. And so the whole, as near as I can tell, the whole economy is oriented towards serving RVs and snowbirds.
Because it just balloons in the wintertime.
Exactly, yeah. And it forms its own little, kind of like RV society. So I stayed in one of the 14-day places, but then once again, the government shutdown was going on, so like the camp host wasn't working.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But it was cool. You just find a nice little place to pull up and, you don't try not to get too close to, somebody else who's there, give everybody a little space. And people in general are nice. I mean, it's a community of, like-minded is the wrong word, but, certainly.
Similar experiences?
Yeah. Well, you're there, you're in your RV and you're on BLM land.
Yeah.
you know, and you're in Quartzsite, and you know what Quartzsite is about because that's why you're there. And so they have lots of stalls and people hawking their wares and a kind of a grocery store kind of a thing with slightly expired food, but cheap.
Nice.
You know,
That's smart.
cheap. Got a nice organic thing of hot chocolate for $1, you know.
That's not going to expire.
Right.
What are you talking about? Oh my God.
Yeah, so it was great, and you know, I mean, I certainly intend to go back and spend, you know, a much longer period of time there, you know. But I wanted to go and actually see what it was about.
I only passed through it, and my understanding is that it's like a Burning Man for retirees.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's really cool. So then you're back into California, right? Or did you go? No, you went south.
I actually went to Yuma, which is not far from there, and so because I decided that. You know, I was going, you know, I'm not that far from the border, you know, so I might as well go to the
Couldn't
border.
stay away,
Couldn't stay away. So I went to Yuma, and then I went, wait a minute. I'm a big movie fan, right? Okay, and so like every Western I've ever seen almost, you know, there's always this thing, oh, you're going to get sent to Yuma prison, right? It's like, it's like the hellhole, like 310 to Yuma, right?
Yeah.
And so I said, hey, I'm in Yuma. I'm going to go check out the Yuma prison. So I did, you know, and it was nice.
It was nice?
Well,
what's it like?
That was the wrong way to say that. What I meant was the people who were working there were like really nice and really helpful and, you know, explaining the history and
That's
all
awesome.
of that.
That's cool.
But then, of course, when you actually go and see what the prison conditions were like, you can understand why people would like rather die in a gunfight than get sent to Yuma prison.
Wow, that bad, huh?
Because they had like this one called the dark cell. You know, no, yeah. I mean, and it's like exactly what you would think, only like they would pack people in there, like chain them to the floor.
Wow.
And like no light, all of that kind of stuff. And you know, no telling if you would ever be let out or maybe even fed, you know, who knows? It was really bad. And so you can understand why it has this prominent place in Western lore.
Yeah.
Because, oh my God, you didn't want to get sent to the prison in Yuma.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, I checked that out and it was a nice bit of history. And there's a nice kind of a wetlands park around it.
Oh, wow. Really?
And that kind of thing. So, and the people in Yuma were nice. So, and then I stayed actually Somerton, which is kind of a suburb of Yuma. That's where I paid my $6 to, you know, stay overnight in the Kokopah Indian Casino parking lot. You know, I like casino parking lots apparently.
Not too bright for you?
Oh no! They have a place where it's great.
Oh wow! Okay.
Oh, I know. I mean, I got blackout curtains on the windows. I got this thing set up where, you know, I can shut the world out if I want to.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
Absolutely.
All right, so your prison tour.
Yeah.
You're going there, Manzanar to
I'm all about the prison tour.
All about the prison tour.
I am.
So then, so tell me, take me then. The Salton Sea. Did you go from there? Then you're hitting Slab City and
well,
Bombay Beach, or
first I went to San Luis at the border, which was once again to me very interesting in that, you know, you get to the border. You know, there's, you know, razor wire and fences and walls all over the place. I was just hanging out kind of, you know, right by the border on the U.S. side. And what I saw was mostly elderly, disabled people who were walking across into the U.S. and shopping at the grocery store and like eating at McDonald's. And you know, there wasn't an MS-13 gang member in sight that I could see.
Wow.
And you know, and once people kind of understood that I wasn't going to be like some angry redneck guy and that I actually spoke a little Spanish, you know, I mean, people were, you know, really very nice. And And so it's just another one of those things, I think, that a lot of the people who are really kind of freaked out about the border they're not there, you know. Many of those communities are actually some of the safest communities in the country. And just this whole idea that there's armies of crazed Mexican killers everywhere and all of that. I mean, that just wasn't my experience.
Sure.
But I thought, I'm here. I want to go down. I want to see it. I want to hang out for a while. Just because, you know, if you want to talk about something, it helps if you actually go do it.
It does, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Something the president could learn. Okay, so not the humanitarian crisis of the soul and the heart that President Trump has said.
Well, I certainly didn't see it, and like I said, I mean, what I saw mostly were, you know, largely elderly people, many of them canes, wheelchairs, you know, those kinds of things, who were coming across the border, shopping in, you know, some of the stores that are right there. And then, you know, a number of people having something in McDonald's and then, you know, going back across with, you know, their bags of groceries and stuff. And, you know, it just wasn't what's being represented.
Not the flashpoint.
No, you know, I didn't see it.
Yeah. I don't think many people do.
Yeah.
That's only the people who haven't been there seem to see that. So, okay, so tell me about Slab City, because I love talking about Slab City.
So
I didn't show you. I got to show you my. Go ahead. I put the picture you messaged me from of Salvation Mountain is my desktop.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So if you're familiar with Salton Sea, right? Okay. And I guess I went to Salton Sea first before I went to Joshua Tree Park. But anyway.
Okay. Well, that's lower, right? Because
because then you have to go up. So and there it is. Yeah. And so Salton Sea, and correct me if I'm wrong, Salton Sea was basically created out of some like ecological disaster.
It was an accident.
It was an accident that happened, you know, way back when. And so you have this kind of like inland sea, right, in California. And I guess over time, there have been all of these different plans to like create, you know, I think mostly in the 50s and 60s, I think, to kind of like create like a fancy resort community.
Hey, we've got the sea.
We've got the sea. And so, like, you know, they were building like, or trying to build these like kind of like resort things. And I guess at one point, you know, there was
Bombay Beach was a place at one time.
Bombay Beach was a place, and man, Bombay Beach is still a place, but it's a much different place.
It is It
really is.
It looks like it should be in Gaza.
Yeah, no, we'll get to Bombay Beach in a second. No, that's okay. You know, so anyway, so there's this Salton Sea, right? And like many years ago, so there's this organization in Nevada City called Circle, South Yuba River Citizens League, right? And so they do a Wild and Scenic Environmental Film Festival. It's become a very big deal. It's very cool. And so anyway, I saw this movie there about Salton Sea, right? And how sort of crazy it is. And it is crazy. And so I said, well, I got to go check this out. So I get there and then I go, well, okay, I'm going to go check out this thing, Slab City. So what is Slab City? Slab City is like this sort of kind of Mad Maxy kind of wasteland thing that apparently has been abandoned by organized government and society in its own way. Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with the name. So the slabs are foundation. They're concrete slab foundations that were laid. I don't think things were ever built on them. It's like the foundations were laid and then the development stopped. It's like a Pacific Shores kind of like story.
Yeah, something like that. And then there was also, I guess, a military base.
Was it?
Okay. At one point.
Okay, didn't know.
You know, and I'm not sure about that. Somebody just told me that. I don't pretend to know the detailed history of Slab City or Salton Sea. But what I do know is, at least, is that you have this place. It's pretty, you know, desolate in its own way. as near as I can tell, local government has nothing to do with it in any way, shape, or form. People are living there. Some of them, it appears, full time. In shacks and trailers and vehicles, and it's a kind of a collection of folks. And then you have this Salvation Mountain, which someone created, which is this very colorful, picturesque kind of a thing.
I'm trying to remember. Is it like Bondo that's poured all over this stuff?
Yeah,
that was
I think
painted
it's something.
Or something?
It's some kind of paint, and they did it with some sort of non-toxic paint. At least that's what that's billed as. Because I guess the lake, the Salton Sea itself, is pretty toxic from what I get.
Well, yeah, and I just love everybody always decry. Oh, the Salton Sea is drying up. It's an environmental. It's not supposed to be there.
It's not supposed to be there. I mean, it's a little bit like the Dead Sea, I guess, in some ways. In some ways. But anyway, so there's this Mad Maxy kind of wasteland called Slab City, right? And like all of these different like vehicles and kind of people out there, and kind of like a Jesus community of some sort. But then just like like artists and just kind of like random folks. And then also like crazy people wandering around and, really troubled kind of crazy people. But it reminds me of something you would see in Mad Max,
Yeah, definitely.
But anyway, so I stayed out there and, found myself kind of a place more or less away from, not just right on top of other people.
Sure.
But
I think that's against the law in Slab City.
I think it is against the law, and it should
law.
be.
Yeah.
And so, hung out there, and because I got power, I was, sat back and made some food and made some coffee and hooked up my Wi-Fi and watched the Avengers on my computer and,
spending the night in Slab City.
Spend the night in Slab City. And I'm going, okay, Slab City, pretty weird, desolate place, and then I went to Bombay Beach, and like Bombay Beach makes Slab City look upscale.
Well, Slab City is like the gated community out in the country, the suburb, and Bombay Beach. Because Bombay Beach, I remember being maybe 6-8 blocks square,
something like that. It is
right up on they've got the levee right there. The kind of and I don't know if it's changed now, but when I was there, the Salton Sea was still a quarter mile distant on the other side of the levee. It wasn't anywhere near.
Yeah, but it's just about the way you described it. And it's like I said, I mean, Slab City is a gated community compared to Bombay Beach, and people live there. Yeah. And I'm going. So one of the things that I did, I went to the Middle East on a couple of occasions, and one of the places I went to was the Shatila Palestinian refugee camp, Shatila camp in Beirut.
Oh wow.
Okay, and so I described that at that time, and still do, is like if you take sort of the worst American ghetto and then like magnify it by like 1,000 times, then you get like Shatila, right? Okay. And Bombay Beach compares to Shatila.
Wow.
I mean, when there's like burnt out abandoned trailers spray painted with shelter on them. It's like, I mean, you could, I guess, if you had nowhere else to go, you could just crawl up in one of those, semi burned out, travel trailers, and nobody would care, I guess.
Because it seemed like every other place was like that.
Oh yeah. And the roads, are, they're basically like dirt. They're dirt, and not very well maintained, and there are people living there. Yeah, and it's just like, and I guess the thing was, and I was saying this to somebody. I don't know if I said it to you or not, Paul, but so like a couple of years ago, I was in New York City at a wedding, $1 million wedding. I was a guest, The bride's dress was like $50,000. Okay, so this is in Manhattan, I mean, whole 9 yards, and like so there's that, right? And then there's like Bombay Beach and Slab City, you know, in the same country, right? You know, and so there's this just really stark juxtaposition of this like uber wealth and then this uber poverty, you know, and I don't think most people really realize that.
Yeah.
You know, that there are places in this country like Bombay Beach and or Slab City where people are like living and trying to survive, you know, amidst pretty desperate poverty for
that whole region is desperate.
Oh yeah, the whole thing is, and so you know, I mean, it's all of that and you know, all of that juxtaposition. And then it was Friday, and I was able to have Mexican breakfast in Mecca.
Nice.
You know, because, you know, of course, being in Mecca on a Friday is a good thing to do. And so I had Mexican breakfast in Mecca.
I may have had Mexican food in Mecca at one time as well. Where's Mecca in relation to the Salton Sea?
Northish.
Yeah. And like
kind of
northeast?
Kind of at the north. Yeah, probably the northeast end.
I think I may
have
Sea. Actually.
Yeah, you know. So I'm going. Hey, it's Friday. I'll make a pilgrimage to Mecca. You know, I don't think I'm going to be able to cross that off the list, but you know, I mean, but you know, hey, there you go.
Oh my gosh. Okay, all right. So take us. You went to. We are at 12:51.
Uh-oh.
I got to make the meeting at 1.
Okay.
So
better hurry.
Let's speed dial here. Let's go through the. Let's go on our lightning round.
Okay.
So Joshua Tree,
another place that lives up to the hype.
How was it with the shutdown? I guess things have gotten ugly there now.
Well, you know, I didn't see that. I only stopped a couple of places along the way. Mostly I saw people pretty well behaved. I didn't see a lot of trash. I didn't see people running around on ATVs.
I guess folks have cut down Joshua Tree.
That's what I hear, but I didn't see any of that. Okay. But it's another place that really lives up to the hype. This is just my little travel suggestion. If you can, go from south to north, as compared from north to south, because I think the north side is much more dramatic.
Okay.
And so, you know, I think...
You get closer to the hills?
And they have all of these really cool rock formations, and then also some fields of very cool cacti, and it was another one of those things going, I think I'll pull over here and throw my sliding door open and sit and have lunch.
Put your feet up. Nice.
Yeah. So Joshua Tree, and then really after that, it was kind of just heading back to, you know, going through around LA to get to I-5, and then doing another night of stealth camping in a truck stop and in Arvin, and then heading back on I-5 to Sacramento. The wind was really...
Oh, right. We were having, Yeah,
and I literally at one point, because it's such a high-profile vehicle, I mean, it picked me up and moved me into the other lane.
Whoa.
And I just went, you know what? Time to pull into a rest stop.
Open up the side door.
Open up the side door, put my feet up, and hang out for a while.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I've forgotten about the wind. I remember that being an issue on your trip.
Yeah.
So what have you learned then? First, short answer, I guess, maybe short. I have no idea what kind of answer you're going to have. What have you learned about the van? If this was a troubleshooting sort of maiden voyage here,
it worked really well. I did wind up in one position. I went to visit some friends on some roads that really were 4-wheel drive.
Oh.
I almost got stuck out there because it's just not made for that.
Okay.
You know, so you know, it's one of those things of having to be discerning. I have to be a little bit discerning about the height because in addition to the high roof, I also have another like 9 or 10 inches of smokestack sticking out of the top. So you know, there's that, and then just other than that, you know, just some sort of internal things to finish some things off. But you know, ran really good. Power works. You know, able to run my fridge, do all of that stuff. And so it seems pretty functional, and as long as I keep it maintained, I think it'll work for being my homelessness prevention program. And now I know if I have to, I just go pull up at Slab City. I'll be good.
There you go. Exactly. So you learned things about the van. Did you learn anything about yourself? Living on the road like that?
Yeah, I did. I really like it. And then also just how much I think I miss kind of being a journalist, you know what I mean, and going out and telling the stories of what's going on, and the stories about the people who usually get forgotten. You know what I mean? And how, like we were joking, you know, being some sort of cross between Charles Kuralt and Lorena Hickok, you know, and how appealing that is to me, and I think it's important. It's something I would like to get back to doing.
Yeah, and you've said all along that was part. You know, your retirement plan is to travel around in the van and do that kind of journalism, do that kind of work. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, it's something I enjoy, and I think it's something I'm reasonably good at, and I think it's something that needs to be done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, good. So then, are you excited about that sort of?
I am.
Do you have any kind of?
Now I just need like a benefactor.
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, sugar daddy.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask. I mean, do you have any sort of timeline then, as far as going full out retired, or?
You know, it's interesting because I mean I really like the work I do here, and I really like the people, and increasingly feel like I'm developing more and more friends here who I really care about, and so there's that, and then you know, I am getting older, and you know, and I mean, there were many years I beat myself pretty hard. You know, I was not always this semi-well-adjusted great-grandfather that I appear to be. And so, you know, it's sort of like gauging, well, you know, how long will I actually be able to do something like this? And then weighing that against, well, you know, how long do I need my job? Yeah. How much do I want to continue to do the work I'm doing with and on behalf of the people in this community that I care about? You know, so it's all of those things. So the short answer is not yet, but I've been doing an awful lot of soul searching about it, particularly, you know, in the last week or so, of trying to think, well, you know, what do I really want and need to do, you know, for me, you know?
Yeah. Well, keep us posted. If you ever need to Stealth Park and spend the night in the K-Fug parking lot, you're more than welcome to.
I appreciate that. You know, you can be gosh darn sure I'll take you up on that.
Yeah, I know. As soon as I said it, as soon as I came out of my mouth, I'm, oh no, this is going to happen now. No, that's absolutely fine. I think it's amazing what you're doing. I think it takes a lot of chutzpah and just straight up balls to get out there and hit the road like you did and take off. I think that's wonderful. More power to you. And Lisa and I are both like looking now long term, like, that's pretty cool to get a van like that, sort of trick it out so you can be sort of self-contained and hit the road. That's
it's great. And I just want to, can I just really want to say that, you know, my friend Mike and my friend Meng, who I know you know Meng, you know, have been just incredibly generous with their time and their expertise and their talents. I couldn't be doing this without them having done what they've done to make it possible. And so I just want to really say thank you to both of you.
I hear a road trip coming, guys. All right. Mike, thanks for coming in and telling us about this.
Thank you. I really appreciate you asking me to do this.
I wanted to hear about the trip. I've been watching your posts and looking at the pictures, and I really want to, and like I said, I've got, you know, Salvation Mountain there on the computer there.
It is a wild place.
It is a wild place. Maybe I want to dig out my pictures now and look at it. Because, there's that building or the tire rooms over here. I don't know. There's all this other thing happening over on this side. But I do want to make just a tentative date with you, not set down in stone yet, but sometime before the count, the homeless count that's coming up, talking about that.
Yeah, we were actually at the training about that yesterday, and that's something that's coming up. One of the things that we're going to be doing, and I know you got to go, is I'll be sending out something to our True North list locally about needs for homeless folks. We don't usually do service-oriented kinds of things, but this is really important. And it will also be an opportunity maybe to help some people get some things like socks and yoga mats and things like that. So we'll be sending something like that out to people. And if they want to donate some things like that, we'll tell them where they can do it.
Good. And I want to have that, like I said, that conversation before the count, which is the 19th?
22nd.
22nd.
Well, or 23rd, I think, actually.
Okay, 23rd. Okay, good. That's Wednesday, so that gives us a couple of weeks. Cool. Excellent. Mike, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.